You cannot heal from what you refuse to acknowledge. Think about that for a moment. Many of us spend years running from our pain, pretending it doesn't exist, burying it beneath busyness, achievements, or even a smile we wear for the world. But here's the truth. No matter how fast you run, pain always runs faster. It waits for you in the quiet, it whispers in your silence, and it weighs you down when no one is watching. Healing cannot begin until you stop running and face what is real. Acceptance is the first step to freedom. Now, acceptance doesn't mean you have to like what happened. It doesn't mean you have to approve of the pain, the betrayal, the loss, or the disappointment. It doesn't mean you have to stand up and say, this was good. No, acceptance simply means you stop lying to yourself about it. It means you stop resisting reality. It means you stop trying to fight a battle that cannot be won, the battle against the truth. Because no matter how hard you push it down, the truth always rises to the surface. And until you accept it, you will remain chained to it. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks everywhere you go. At first, maybe you don't notice the weight because you've grown used to it. But over time, it wears you down. You become exhausted, frustrated, and hopeless. Yet the moment you open that backpack and acknowledge what's inside, something shifts. You may still have to carry some of those rocks, but now you can choose to take them out one by one instead of pretending they aren't there. That is what acceptance does. It lightens the load you've been carrying, not by erasing the past, but by freeing you from the endless struggle of denial. Many people think healing is about forgetting. They believe if I can just erase the memory, I'll be okay. But that's not healing, that's hiding. Healing doesn't erase the past, it transforms your relationship with it. And transformation begins with honesty. You have to look at your pain, acknowledge it, and say, yes, this happened. Yes, it hurt, but no, it will not control me any longer. The danger of not accepting your pain is that it slowly shapes your life without you even realizing it. Unacknowledged wounds turn into bitterness, into anger, into patterns of self-sabotage. People who hurt us in the past end up controlling our present because we've never faced what they did. We replay their words in our minds, we live out of fear instead of hope, and we allow brokenness to define us. But when you choose acceptance, you take back your power. You tell your pain, you no longer own me. I am free to build something new. Think of the people you admire most. Heroes, leaders, survivors. What sets them apart is not that they avoided pain, it's that they faced it. They accepted their scars. They didn't waste time pretending their struggles never happened. They stood tall and said, this is part of my story, but it is not the whole story. That shift from resistance to acceptance is what gave them the strength to rise. And the same is true for you. Acceptance is not weakness, it is courage. It takes courage to look at your broken places and admit they exist. It takes courage to stop running and stand still long enough to face the truth. But once you do, something powerful happens. You begin to breathe again. The weight lifts. The wound may still be tender, but it no longer bleeds. You finally step out of survival mode and into the possibility of living fully again. Let me tell you something important. Acceptance is not a one-time event. It is a process. Some days you'll feel strong, like the pain doesn't bother you anymore. Other days it may hit you fresh, and you'll have to remind yourself all over again, yes, this happened. Yes, it hurt. But I am still here. And I am still moving forward. That's the work of healing. It's not linear, but it is worth it. So if you're here today, holding on to something, maybe grief, maybe regret, maybe betrayal, maybe shame, I want you to know this. You don't have to carry it alone, and you don't have to keep hiding from it. Stop pretending it didn't happen. Stop telling yourself you should be over it by now. Stop running, stand still, take a breath, and accept it. Because the moment you do, you open the door to healing. Healing doesn't come to those who fight the truth. Healing comes to those who embrace it, who honor their scars, and who allow their pain to teach them instead of trap them. Acceptance is the beginning of freedom, and freedom is the beginning of life. So my challenge to you is simple. Whatever it is you've been carrying, face it, say it, own it, accept it, because you'll never heal until you do. What happened, happened. Those 4 words can feel like a heavy blow when you're clinging to the past, replaying the moments you wish you could rewrite. But no matter how many times you close your eyes and imagine a different ending, no matter how much you wish you had chosen differently or that someone else had acted differently, the truth remains unshaken. The past cannot be rewritten. It is already carved into time. And until you make peace with that, healing will feel like chasing a horizon you'll never reach. Think about how much energy we waste on if only. If only I hadn't made that mistake. If only they had stayed. If only I had spoken up. If only I had tried harder. These 2 words, if only, become the prison bars that keep us locked in regret. We pace back and forth in the same cell, imagining a door that isn't there. But here's the truth. Healing begins not with if only, but with what's next. The question is not, why did this happen, but what will I do with it now? You see, pain multiplies when you fight reality. It's like trying to swim against a river. You thrash, you struggle, you exhaust yourself, but the current doesn't change. The more you resist what already happened, the deeper you sink. Acceptance, on the other hand, is turning with the current, letting it carry you forward until you find calm waters again. It's not about giving up. It's about moving with life instead of against it. So many of us remain stuck because we believe healing is about rewriting the past. We think if I can just fix what happened, if I can somehow erase the hurt, I'll finally be free. But the past is sealed. What's done is done. Freedom comes when you shift your focus from what you cannot change to what you can create, and that shift begins the moment you stop clinging to yesterday and start reaching for tomorrow. Consider this: your past is a chapter, not the whole book. Imagine trying to enjoy a novel but refusing to turn the page. You'd sit stuck in the same paragraph forever, never experiencing the rest of the story. That's exactly what happens when you hold on to regret, replaying the same scenes in your mind again and again. Healing begins when you close the page and dare to see what's written in the next one. Now, let me be clear. This doesn't mean the past didn't matter. It mattered. It shaped you. It taught you. It left its marks on you. But just because it matters doesn't mean it deserves to dictate the rest of your life. A scar tells you a story happened, but it doesn't mean the story is over. You can acknowledge the scar, respect its lesson, and still move forward with strength. I know what you might be thinking, but how do I let go? How do I stop replaying what I can't change? And the answer is simple, though not easy. You choose. Every day, you choose. You choose to notice when your mind drifts back into the past, and you gently bring it back to the present. You choose to stop asking, why me, and start asking, what now? You choose to put your energy into building what's ahead instead of rebuilding what's behind. Healing is a choice. It doesn't happen in a single moment, but in the small decisions you make daily to release the past and embrace the present. The truth is, the past is no longer happening. It's only living in your memory. And memory, powerful as it is, does not have to be your master. When you remind yourself, it is finished. It cannot be rewritten. You take back authority. You stop letting old wounds bleed into new days. You stop letting what hurt you yesterday steal the joy of today. Think of every great comeback story you've ever heard. Athletes who lost everything and then rose again. Leaders who failed, were rejected or betrayed, yet came back stronger. Survivors who endured unthinkable pain and still built a future worth living. What do they all have in common? Not a perfect past, not a flawless record. What they share is the courage to stop replaying what they couldn't change and to start rewriting what they could. They chose to say, what's next, instead of if only. And that's the invitation for you today, to stop rehearsing the pain and start rehearsing possibility, to stop asking the question that keeps you chained and start asking the question that sets you free. Why did this happen won't heal you, but what will I do with it? Just might. So let me leave you with this. What happened, happened. You cannot go back. You cannot rewrite it, and you cannot erase it. But you can transform it. You can take what broke you and let it build you. You can take what hurt you and let it shape you into someone stronger, wiser, more compassionate. But it all begins with this one decision to stop living in yesterday and to start creating tomorrow. Healing doesn't mean pretending the past never happened. Healing means refusing to live there any longer. It means shifting your eyes from what's behind you to what's ahead of you. And the moment you make that choice, the moment you accept that the past cannot be rewritten, you step into the freedom to begin writing the future you deserve. To accept does not mean you approve of the pain. Too often people confuse acceptance with surrender, as if facing the truth is the same thing as giving into it. But that's not what acceptance is. Acceptance is strength in its purest form. It is the courage to look life in the eye and say, yes, this hurt me, but it will not defeat me. When you accept something, you're not saying this was okay. You're saying, I am strong enough to face this, and I refuse to let it control me any longer. You see, the human instinct is to resist. When something painful happens, our first reaction is often to fight against it, to deny it, to argue with it, to push it away. We think that if we just resist hard enough, we'll somehow undo the damage. But what happens instead? The pain grows louder, the memories get heavier, the bitterness deepens. Resisting what already happened doesn't erase it, it multiplies it. Acceptance, on the other hand, is choosing to stand still and face the truth. It's not the weak choice, it's the brave one. It's easier to hide behind anger, to bury yourself in denial, to numb yourself with distractions. It's harder to say, this is my reality, and I will no longer run from it. That takes courage. That takes strength. Think of a warrior standing on a battlefield, one who is outnumbered, exhausted, and wounded. Now imagine that warrior lowering their sword, not because they're giving up, but because they've realized that fighting this battle only wastes energy. Instead, they choose to stand firm, to face the reality of the situation, and to move forward with wisdom instead of resistance. That's what acceptance looks like. It's not throwing in the towel. It's refusing to waste your life battling the unchangeable. The most dangerous misconception about acceptance is the belief that it means you're weak. People will tell you if you accept it, you've lost. If you accept it, you've been defeated. But the truth is the exact opposite. Weakness is pretending. Weakness is denying your pain until it eats you alive from the inside. Weakness is giving your past the power to silently dictate every step you take. Acceptance is the opposite of weakness. It is the declaration that what hurt you will not define you, that what broke you will not own you. Think of the strongest people you know. They aren't the ones who never faced pain. They're the ones who faced it head on and still stood tall. They're the ones who said, yes, this happened. Yes, it hurt, but no, it will not stop me. Their strength didn't come from avoidance, it came from acceptance, and yours can too. The truth is, you cannot control what happened to you, but you can control how you respond to it. You can spend the rest of your life fighting reality, or you can take your power back by accepting it. And when you do, something shifts. The pain doesn't vanish overnight, but it loses its grip on you. It no longer dictates your mood, your choices, or your future. It becomes a part of your story, not the whole story. Acceptance is also about forgiveness. Not necessarily forgiveness for the one who hurt you, but forgiveness for yourself. Forgiving yourself for not knowing better at the time. Forgiving yourself for the mistakes you made, for the moments you weren't as strong as you wanted to be, for the times you stayed too long or gave too much. When you accept what happened, you also accept that you are human. And in that acceptance, you find the grace to forgive yourself and start again. There is a deep kind of freedom that comes with acceptance. Freedom from replaying the same scenes in your mind every night. Freedom from wondering what you could have done differently. Freedom from carrying bitterness like a poison in your veins. It's the freedom to finally breathe, to finally rest, to finally live without being chained to yesterday. This doesn't mean you stop caring. This doesn't mean you forget. It simply means you've decided that the pain no longer gets to control you. It means you've chosen to rise above what happened instead of sinking beneath it. That's not weakness. That's power. And here's the most beautiful part. Once you accept, you begin to heal. Healing is not about erasing the past. Healing is about reclaiming the present. It's about saying, this is what happened, but this is not who I am. I am not my pain. I am not my mistakes. I am not my wounds. I am the person who survived them. I am the person who is still standing. Acceptance doesn't mean you condone what happened. It doesn't mean you invite it back into your life. It simply means you've decided to stop being its prisoner. You've decided to reclaim your story, to take back your power, and to live again. So let me say this to you today. Accepting your pain is not surrender. It is strength. Accepting your scars is not weakness. It is wisdom. Accepting your past is not defeat. It is the first step toward victory. And when you finally choose acceptance, you'll realize that the very thing you thought would destroy you has actually made you stronger than you ever imagined. Your wounds may have hurt you, but your scars prove you overcame them. A wound is painful, raw, and vulnerable. But a scar, though it may not be pretty, shows something powerful. It shows that healing has already begun. Scars are not signs of weakness. They are evidence of survival. They tell the story of battles you've endured and storms you've walked through. They are not reminders of your brokenness. They are proof of your strength. So often we look at our scars and feel ashamed. We cover them up. We hide them from others. We pretend they don't exist. Why? Because we think they make us less. We think they show our flaws, our mistakes, our failures. But the truth is, scars are not signs of shame. They are signs of courage. They are proof that even though life tried to break you, you refuse to stay broken. Think about it. When you cut yourself physically, it bleeds. It hurts. But the moment a scar forms, it means your body has already begun to repair itself. It means the bleeding has stopped, the wound is closed, and new strength has taken its place. Isn't that incredible? The scar is the body's way of saying, I survived this. The same is true of emotional scars. They show that you've been through something painful, yes, but they also show that you came out on the other side. The problem is, too many people treat scars like curses. They live in shame of their past, ashamed of what they went through, ashamed of how they struggled. They think, if anyone sees this, they'll think less of me. But what if you shifted your perspective? What if, instead of hiding your scars, you saw them as your medals of honor? What if you understood that every scar carries a story of survival, a story of resilience, a story of strength? Every person you admire, every hero, every leader, every survivor, they all have scars. Some are visible, most are invisible, but those scars are what shape them into who they are. Without the battles they fought, they wouldn't have the wisdom they carry. Without the storms they endured, they wouldn't have the strength you respect. The same is true for you. The scars you carry are not signs of your weakness. They are the very things that have prepared you for the life you are meant to live. A scar is proof that pain has ended. It may not erase the memory, but it shows you've healed enough to move forward. When you touch a scar, it doesn't sting the way a wound does. That's how life works too. When you accept your scars, you no longer live in constant pain. Yes, the memory is there, but the suffering no longer controls you. That's why scars should never be hidden. They should be honored. I want you to think about this. Every scar is also a lesson. Behind each scar is an experience that taught you something about life, about love, about resilience, about yourself. Maybe it taught you who to trust. Maybe it taught you how strong you really are. Maybe it taught you the importance of letting go. Whatever the lesson, your scar is proof that you are wiser now than you were before. We live in a world that idolizes perfection, but perfection is an illusion. Real strength, real beauty, real courage, it's found in the scars. It's found in the cracks where the light gets in. Imagine a piece of pottery. that's been broken. Some cultures repair those cracks with gold, making the broken piece even more valuable than before. That's exactly what scars do for us. They make us more valuable because they show we have been tested, we have been broken, but we have been rebuilt with strength. The next time you're tempted to feel ashamed of your scars, remember this: someone else is looking for proof that healing is possible. Someone else is wondering if they can survive their storm. And when they see your scars, when they hear your story, they find hope. Your scars are not just for you. They are reminders to the world that healing is possible, that strength is real, that survival is achievable. You might not be proud of what caused your scars, but you should be proud of what they represent. They represent resilience. They represent courage. They represent a refusal to quit when quitting would have been easier. Every scar says, I went through something hard, but I'm still here. And sometimes being still here is the greatest victory of all. So stop seeing your scars as ugly. Stop hiding them. Stop being ashamed of them. Start seeing them as badges of honor, proof of battles fought and won. Start seeing them as the evidence that nothing, no pain, no betrayal, no loss was strong enough to destroy you. Your scars are not signs of defeat. They are signs of victory. You may carry scars from heartbreak, from failure, from loss, from betrayal, from regret, but every scar tells the same story: you made it. You didn't give up. You didn't let it end you. You are stronger now than you were before, and that is something to be proud of. So let me tell you this: embrace your scars, cherish them, wear them with pride, because they are proof that you've been through the fire and you came out refined. They are proof that you are a survivor. They are proof that you are stronger than your pain. And most of all, they are proof that no matter what life throws at you, you will rise again. Every hurt carries a lesson. Every disappointment, every heartbreak, every betrayal, every failure, it all has something to teach you if you're willing to listen. Pain is not just something to endure. It's something that can shape you, guide you, and grow you. But this only happens when you stop resisting it and start asking, what can I learn from this? Pain becomes your teacher the moment you accept it as part of your journey. Think about school for a moment. The classes we hated the most were often the ones that stretched us the furthest. They challenged us, tested our patience, and forced us to think in new ways. In the same way, life's painful experiences are the hardest classes we will ever take. You didn't sign up for them, you didn't want them, but once you're in them, you have two choices: resist and remain stuck, or learn and grow stronger. The truth is, pain has a way of teaching lessons that comfort never could. When everything is easy, we rarely stop to reflect, we rarely change, we rarely grow. But pain forces us to look deeper. It forces us to examine who we are, what we value, and where we're going. It shows us what matters most and strips away what doesn't. It breaks down illusions and reveals truths we might have ignored otherwise. For example, betrayal may teach you the value of discernment. Failure may teach you resilience. Loss may teach you gratitude for the time you still have. Struggle may teach you humility and compassion. Each lesson hurts to learn, but once learned, it becomes wisdom you carry forever. Without the pain, you wouldn't have the insight. Without the struggle, you wouldn't have the strength. But here's the key: you must be willing to listen. Pain will either make you bitter or it will make you better. The difference lies in whether you treat it as an enemy or as a teacher. If you see it only as something unfair, you stay stuck in resentment. But if you see it as something that carries a lesson, you open the door to growth. The wound that once felt like a punishment becomes the very place where transformation begins. Some of the most successful and inspiring people in the world will tell you that their greatest lessons came from their darkest seasons. They'll tell you that the pain they thought would destroy them became the turning point that defined them. Their failures taught them perseverance. Their heartbreak taught them self-worth. Their losses taught them appreciation. Their struggles gave them wisdom they could never have gained from ease. And the same can be true for you. Think of a seed. Before it grows into a plant, It has to be buried in the dark. It has to break open. It has to go through pressure and change. Only then does it rise. Your pain is like that pressure. It may feel like it's burying you, but really it's preparing you to grow. The lesson inside the pain is the very thing that will allow you to rise stronger than before. Of course, learning from pain doesn't mean you have to celebrate the hurt. You don't have to be glad it happened. You don't have to pretend it was good. What it means is that you refuse to let it be wasted. You refuse to let your suffering be meaningless. You take what was meant to break you and turn it into wisdom, into strength, into fuel. That is the ultimate act of resilience. Sometimes the lesson is about yourself. Pain reveals who you are when everything is stripped away. It shows you your hidden strength, your untapped courage, your ability to endure more than you thought possible. Sometimes the lesson is about others. It reveals who is truly with you and who is not. Sometimes the lesson is about life. It teaches you to value moments, relationships, and opportunities you once overlooked. Whatever the lesson, pain always carries something you need for the journey ahead. The danger is in ignoring it. Too many people go through pain and never learn from it. They carry the wound but never gain the wisdom. They repeat the same mistakes. They fall into the same traps. They let bitterness take root. But you don't have to live like that. You can choose differently. You can look at your pain and say, I will not let this be wasted. I will let it teach me. I will let it change me for the better. So the next time you face a struggle, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? What strength am I building right now? What wisdom is hidden inside this hurt? Those questions transform pain from a curse into a classroom. And the answers you find will shape your life in ways you never imagined. One day you will look back on the moments that hurt the most and realize they also shaped you the most. You'll see that the lessons you learned in the fire are the very ones that equipped you for your future. You'll recognize that the strength you admire in yourself today was born out of the struggles you wanted to escape yesterday. And in that moment, you will see pain not as your enemy, but as your teacher. So remember this, every hurt carries a lesson. Don't run from it, don't waste it, learn from it. Because when you do, you turn your pain into power, your wounds into wisdom, and your struggles into stepping stones. And that is how you transform what once tried to destroy you into the very thing that builds you. The moment you accept reality is the moment you stop being its prisoner. So many people spend their lives fighting against what has already happened, resisting truths they cannot change. They replay conversations. They cling to regrets. They wish the story had unfolded differently. But resistance doesn't undo the past. It only traps you inside it. Healing begins the moment resistance ends, when you finally say to yourself, this is what happened, and though I cannot change it, I can choose what comes next. Acceptance is not the same as forgetting. It doesn't mean you erase your memories or pretend the pain never happened. What it means is that you refuse to live in those memories anymore. You refuse to keep bleeding from wounds that have already closed. You refuse to allow the shadow of yesterday to block the light of today. That is where true healing begins, not in erasing the past, but in stepping out of it. Resistance is exhausting. It's like holding your breath underwater, hoping the waves will stop crashing over you. At some point, you realize you cannot control the ocean. You can only learn how to swim. Life is the same way. The more you resist what has already happened, the more you drown in it. The moment you stop fighting, the moment you accept the current, you begin to float. And when you float, you finally start to breathe again. Why do we resist? Because deep down, we believe that holding on to the pain somehow gives us control. We think that if we keep replaying the past, we'll find the answer we missed, the moment we could have changed, the choice we should have made. But that's an illusion. The past is unchangeable. Holding on to it doesn't give you control. It steals it from you. You can't rewrite yesterday, but you can decide how you live today. And that decision begins with acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean you condone what happened. It doesn't mean you're okay with the betrayal, the loss, the failure, or the heartbreak. It simply means you've chosen to stop letting it own you. It means you've chosen to take back your power. It means you've decided that your story doesn't end with the pain, it continues beyond it. That is healing. That is strength. Think of a storm. When it hits, it may tear down houses, uproot trees, and flood streets. The damage is real. But once the storm passes, the sky clears, the sun returns, nature begins to rebuild, the ground sprouts new life. That's what acceptance does. It clears the sky of your soul, making space for new life to grow. As long as you resist, it's like you're living under a storm that's already passed. You keep reliving the thunder. When outside the sun is waiting for you, the danger of resistance is that it becomes a cycle. You keep rehearsing the pain, feeding the bitterness, carrying the weight. Days turn into months, and months turn into years, and suddenly you realize you've been living in the past instead of moving into your future. Healing requires the courage to break that cycle. It requires the strength to say, enough. I will not give yesterday any more of my today. And here's the beautiful thing. Once you accept, you start to see the future differently. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what can I do with this now? You stop dwelling on what you lost and start focusing on what you can build. You stop identifying with your pain and start discovering your purpose. Healing doesn't erase the scars, it gives them meaning. Some people fear acceptance because they think it means letting go of justice or letting go of love. They think if they accept the loss, they'll forget the person they lost. If they accept the betrayal, they'll excuse the one who hurt them. But acceptance is not about forgetting, and it's not about excusing. It's about freeing yourself. It's about releasing yourself from the prison of resistance so you can finally live again. You honor the past best by refusing to be trapped in it. Every step of healing requires acceptance. You accept what happened. You accept what cannot be changed. You accept that scars remain. And then in that acceptance, you find freedom. You find the space to rebuild, to grow, to love again, to hope again. Healing doesn't mean you no longer feel pain. It means the pain no longer controls you. It means you've chosen to live in the present instead of reliving the past. One day, you will look back and realize the moment you stopped resisting was the moment you truly began to heal. You'll see that acceptance didn't make you weaker, it made you stronger. You'll recognize that while you couldn't control what happened, you could always control what you became because of it. And that choice, to accept, to let go, to move forward, will be the moment you reclaimed your life. So if you are tired of carrying the weight of yesterday, if you are exhausted from fighting battles you cannot win, it's time to let go. It's time to accept. It's time to step out of the shadows and into the light. Healing begins where resistance ends. And the moment you choose acceptance, you step into a new chapter, one filled with freedom, hope, and the promise of life beyond the pain.